Hey, what's up guys? Hope everybody's doing well and having a great day. In this video, we're going to take a look at a radiation wave. We're going to see an increase here in the next 24 hours of energy interacting with the magnetic shields of planet Earth. You can see over here at the ISOA. I use this almost weekly, sometimes multiple times a week. It just depends on what's going on with the sun. But we are going to see an increase in electrons, protons, all that good stuff, and it could interfere with satellites. There's talk about satellites already being interfered with. So it's just something that's a big heads up, that's all. This stuff could miss the Earth entirely. It has before. We've seen this in the past, and I'm sure that we'll see it again in the future. How's it going, guys? If you're interested in becoming a Star Family member, links at the top of the chat. What's going on, American Dreamer, Alien Ladybug? I've got some really cool photos to share with you guys also in this live stream. I've got, yesterday I meant to share with you guys the what looked like rockets from Northern California. I do have them ready to go right over there on the runway in this video. I've got a hurricane update, unbelievable situation over in Nebraska the other night. As you guys know, we're in the middle of a very unique planetary alignment, and I think this could be stirring things up all over the entire solar system, especially with regard to the planet Earth and earthquakes and volcanoes and things like that, and even storms. We're going to look at some unbelievable hail from the other night. We saw high winds, we saw power outages. I think it stirred up a derecho. I'm not 100% sure. It looked like a derecho. A derecho is a long duration, very powerful, basically a thunderstorm just underneath a hurricane category. Basically a land-based hurricane is what it is, but it has to be on the ground, a very specific, I think it's like 250 miles, non-stop linear with winds of over 50 or 60 miles an hour. They're very strong, powerful storms, and they don't happen very often, but when conditions are just right, like right now, they can and will form. We're over here at UCLA. This is a graph monitoring the Van Allen belts, the radiation belts. They're anticipating a wave of radiation to interact with the Earth here within the next 24 hours. We'll see an increase in electrons and all that good stuff that could interfere with electricity, satellites, not necessarily electricity on the ground, because the Van Allen belts right here, as you can see, they're the radiation belts around the Earth. As far as I know, they're in pretty good shape. I did a UV reading today, and the UV today was less than yesterday, so I'll share that in tomorrow's video. But sometimes, you know, if the UV's not that far, actually if it's under what it was supposed to be today. In fact, it was. We've got a little bit of cloud cover. I think that's due to wildfire smoke, and then just a few clouds. Nothing major going on. But the other day we did have a spike of over 15. That was an anomaly. That's, you know what, that 15 that we measured out here in Arizona, that is a tropical environment type of a UV, not necessarily Arizona. Yeah, the UV gets high out here, don't get me wrong. But not 15. That's something like you'd see maybe down in the Caribbean. But looking at the real-time data over here, the next 24 hours, you can see just solid red. They're implying that could be a wave of well, that is implying a wave of energy coming within the next 24 hours. Is it coming from the coronal hole that's facing the Earth? You can see the energy from the sun, Earth-facing side of the sun, has definitely increased the last 48 hours. In fact, the last 72 hours. And here's this massive coronal hole that's facing the Earth, butterfly blood. Thank you for the super chat. That's really cool. Thank you. That's very kind. I'm very humbled. Thank you so much. This coronal hole, Earth is in this stream of solar wind. And what a coronal hole is, it's unchallenged star power. That's what you're looking at. That dark feature you see right there on the sun has many layers of atmosphere. There's an absence of all atmosphere layers right there where that dark spot is. So the sun is just flowing freely, and that's aiming right at the Earth. So that could be the origins of what we're about to see here in the next 24 hours, actually less than 24 hours. We're watching the instruments. Like I said, I don't use these. You guys have probably only seen me use these in a video maybe a half a dozen times. This is one of those times. You can see over here on the electron flux over here on the far right, you can see the red starting to enter the field of view. That means the density is increasing already, literally as we're doing this video. So it looks like whatever this is, it is coming. It could be because of the unique position that the planets are in, and Earth is really in the crosshairs of not only the main character, which is the sun. There's a character right there that we really don't even know for sure what is. That's in C25 or C2025N1 Atlas. Right now, the general terms are this is a comet, but looking at it, and we're going to look at it again today. It doesn't look like a comet. I'm going to share it for those of you that haven't seen it yet. But we are in the middle of a rare planetary alignment. It has things stirred up. Unbelievable. This doesn't happen very often. In fact, this is very rare what you're seeing right here. You're seeing Earth, and it's way more than just a straight line, guys. You can't just look at the sky map, star map, and say, okay, the planets are in a straight line. There's a lot of variables involved, but Earth, Venus, and Jupiter, those of you that were up early this morning, maybe saw something in the sky. You could have seen evidence. You'll be able to see it again tomorrow too. If you get up before sunrise, look in the eastern sky, you'll see proof in the skies of this planetary alignment. This one here, Earth, Venus, Jupiter, and you can't rule out the full moon. Even though it's not a full moon yet, it's still factored in the equation. And then the alignment down here, Earth, Mercury, Sun, and Mars. And then we have yet another one. There's actually three, but two primaries and one secondary. And here's Earth, Sun, and Jupiter over here on the long scale. And there's Venus, of course. And then this one here, Mars, Earth, Saturn, and Uranus. So there's two primaries, one secondary. So the stage is definitely set. We're seeing an increase in energy flowing around the world. What you're looking at here are instruments that monitor the magnetosphere, and this is the Y cut and the Z cut, basically looking at it from the side horizontally and vertically. And you're looking at the magnetic field lines, and the Z cut is the wind, solar wind speed. Everything right now looks copacetic, with the exception of over here on the far right. This would be the electron fluxes. And notice this energy is indeed, as they were implying, that it will increase over the next 24 hours. And it is starting to increase, and the darker reds you see there are the top of the charts right here. Top of the chart. And it is indeed showing top of the chart readings. Kind of like the UV that we measured yesterday out here in Arizona. Hopped up there to, it was around 11 or 12, which honestly for Arizona isn't that uncommon. But the very first reading was 15, which is definitely uncommon. So here's another close-up look at the forecast. The electrons could spike up over the next 24 hours and maybe create some glitches in satellites. We've been seeing glitches here recently. There was an incident that occurred, what was this, today out in Pennsylvania? Man, some sort of an incident occurred at a steel plant in Pennsylvania. Anybody have any details on this? I kind of caught the tail end of it as it was occurring. I don't know any specifics, so I'm not really going to comment on this thing too much. But from what I understand, there were some people that were injured, and there was an incident at a steel plant in Pennsylvania. Very, very bizarre. Speaking of incidents, we've talked about the stage being set for wild things happening around the Earth. We've got earthquake activity increasing. You can see one up here north of Alaska and east of Alaska. Those I would consider out of bounds. Those aren't necessarily ones you see every day. But check this out. We're going to go to Nebraska, and I'm going to show you guys something that occurred on the night of the full moon. This is when the storm started basically in Nebraska, made its way through Iowa up into Wisconsin, where it created flooding, created high winds in Nebraska. This might be a little loud. It does get loud at times, so just a heads up. In the next 10, 15 seconds, you're going to hear some loud hail. It's not super loud. I kind of toned it down a little bit, but I just want to give you guys a heads up in case you're wearing headphones. Turn the volume down just a tad. Here we go. It may not be too loud, but it is unbelievable. This was out of Nebraska City, Nebraska. Check this out. August 9th during the full moon in the middle of the unique planetary alignment. Here we go.
Oh my, Jacob Jones!
Yeah, look at that.
Watch what this did to this house.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
This is during the full moon, unique planetary alignment. So now they're going to the basement.
Oh my god!
I mean, they were terrified. Listen to that. The windows. Look at the house.
Look at the sighting on the house, Chelsea.
Oh my god!
And Ty fuck did all that come from?
Everything is ruined
Everything.
outside. Everything.
Oh,
I mean, it's one thing to have tennis ball size hail. That's a lot. That is a lot. Wait till you see how much is on the ground. Look at that. I mean, it's everywhere. Look at the house. Look at this truck.
Look at this. This broke. This broke.
Hail inside the truck. Look at the side of this house.
Oh my god, look at all this. Talking to you. I know.
That went all the way through the...
Look at that. Put a hole in the side of the house. You know, I've seen hail damage siding in the past, that vinyl siding, but I've never seen it go completely through the house like that.
Everything smacked.
Damage the tree there. Even the second story, obviously, got the second story, I think, worse than the first story. Look at that. So you wouldn't have wanted to been out in that thing. And it's no coincidence that this occurred right in the middle, or as we're starting, the unique planetary alignment. As we had mentioned in the last video, this video here, big things are happening. Be ready for anything. This is one of those things where energy was definitely stirred up. For that to occur, the atmosphere had to loft that moisture way up into the sky and exceptionally high, at an exceptionally high altitude, in order to form and keep it aloft long enough to form tennis ball size hail. And it wasn't just a little bit, it was a lot, enough to basically do a significant amount of damage to that home in Nebraska City, Nebraska, in far eastern Nebraska. There was just a 5.0 over here in the ongoing swarm, where there are literally hundreds and hundreds of earthquakes still occurring. There's been hundreds occur. Now there's probably 10, 12 a day, and they're all in the moderate range. It's not like we're seeing ones and twos over here. I mean, when they occur, they're in the 5, 5.5. There's the email. It's working great. If you guys have any photos you'd like to share, you can send them to reports at MrMBB333.com. But we got earthquakes happening all around the world in some very unassuming places, like up here in the, what is this, the Gulf of Alaska? No, Chukchi Sea. Look at that. Out there in the middle of nowhere. There's no fault line out there. I mean, there very well could be maybe an ancient fault like they've seen over here in New Jersey, and there's earthquakes down here in South Carolina, and I haven't had any confirmation of whether or not there was an ancient fault down here. Let's turn on the fault lines here real quick. U.S. faults. I just turned it on, and there's no faults there. And that's a small earthquake near 1.9, not far from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Got a hurricane update to share with you guys. Are earthquakes in Kentucky? What? Far eastern Kentucky? Now, I've seen them in eastern Tennessee. There is an old fault line right here. I'm aware of that one. Right there, just south and west of Knoxville. But I didn't know there was a fault line up here in eastern Kentucky. And there may not be. It's just one of those things where there's these rogue earthquakes showing up in the most bizarre places. We still don't have our normal access to the old school seismographs that we've been used to for years up here at the Yellowstone Supervolcano caldera. I mean, we have some, but they just don't seem to show. I've got some cool pictures to share with you guys in this video. Check this out. I'm going to show you the seismographs that are there. They just don't really show anything. I mean, at least the other ones, I think they were more sensitive. They showed movement. These here are just way too quiet. So, I mean, I would expect a little bit of activity at a supervolcano. I really would. Not necessarily meaning it's going to erupt. No, of course not. But these here show almost no activity. I don't think they work that good, if you want my honest opinion. there should be activity at a supervolcano. Are you serious? There's hot geysers all over the place up there. So at the very least, it should be detecting that activity, and it's really not. The activity that we saw at the seismograph, or the seismograph up here along the northern edge, it's gone. It's not there anymore. They took it off the list of seismographs here, so not really much to see at the supervolcano caldera these days, and don't really know why. Okay, the Nebraska. This morning we were talking about the stage being set, right? The unique planetary alignment. Well, check this out. There's proof of it in the early morning sky. If you're an early riser like me, I get up very, very early every single day. If you step outside and it's clear in your location, no matter where you're at in the world, look to the east, especially if you're up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, you'll see this. I had a person send me in a photo that thought there were 2 UFOs in the sky this morning, and there weren't. These were explainable. This is a video sent in by Gerald looking east out of Inglewood, Colorado this morning at 4:14 a.m. Now, he didn't think that these were UFOs. What you're looking at are 2 planets in one of the planetary alignments that we're talking about. These are a couple of the characters on the stage waiting for their lines to speak, to be heard. Now, you're probably thinking, and common, if you look at this, you're going to think, okay, what you're looking at is Jupiter and Venus, okay? Jupiter is actually the smaller of the 2, and it lines up perfectly with the planetary alignment. Look, that's the view from Earth. Let's go back to Jupiter, and there you go. Venus is here, just to the right. Jupiter is just to the left. Lines up perfect. There's Venus, and there's Jupiter. And we're on the Earth. So there's one of your planetary alignments right there. And again, it's not a straight line type of a thing. It's right angular momentum. You want them up whenever they're just slightly off from each other. That's when things happen. And not only do we have one of those situations occurring right now, we have 2 and a third. The third one's not quite as strong as the 2 primaries, but this is one of the primaries. And there you go. Jupiter and Venus, that's called a conjunction when they appear real close in the nighttime sky or overnight time, early morning sky. That's a conjunction, and they're probably, I don't know, less than 3 degrees apart. And they'll be like that again in the morning too. So get up early, step outside. This is a photo that was sent in by Sienna out of Berlin, New Hampshire. And she was up early, 4 o'clock this morning, and saw these in the eastern sky. And if you're not, if you don't have a star map and you don't pay attention to the planets and you don't know where they're at, I personally know where all the planets are all the time without a map. It's just a weird thing. I know where they are. I know where they're at in the daytime. Like today at, I don't know, 11 o'clock, 10:30, Jupiter and Venus were in the daytime sky, in the southern sky. In fact, I went out and looked for them, but they were too close to the sun. But I always know where all the planets are at. But this is what she saw this morning, and she didn't know what they were. But there's another example from New Hampshire of Venus and Jupiter. So make sure you get up and check them out in the early morning sky. Those are cast members on the big stage just waiting for their lines. You know what I mean? We got Uranus in the equation. We've got Mars in the equation. What else do we have? We have Saturn in the equation. When you have more than one gas giant in the equation, that's a big deal. I've seen a lot of big things happen with planetary alignments and just one gas giant. We have 3 in this play that's unfolding right now as I do this video. We're right in the middle of it. So don't be surprised if we do see a big wave of electrons come flying in. Nothing would surprise me at this point. It really, really wouldn't. As far as any big earthquakes in the last 24 hours, no, there haven't been any in the last 24 hours, but there's been earthquakes in what I would consider, like diverse places, in places that there just normally aren't earthquakes. In fact, there was an earthquake up here by my friend Darren, who does UV readings for us. Look at that. Darren's over here in Abbotsford. He sends UV readings in every other day from Abbotsford. He had an earthquake just down the road from his location. a 2.6, 5 miles deep in southern Canada. You can't make this stuff up, man. I mean, the Earth is feeling it. Earth is just feeling this energy. It truly is. Earthquakes, volcanoes feel this energy. I'm confident the Earth's core absorbs this energy, and then that's kind of what instigates everything else. It's picked up by the Earth's atmosphere, the radiation belts, the ionosphere. When I started the video off over here at Issawa, these are showing us the condition of the shields that protect us. This is the magnetosphere, and right now it's showing, good bounce, good reflectivity, so it's absorbing and reflecting and bouncing back. The compressions are holding up good, so it's doing good right now, but it can see some big changes here coming up in the next 24 to 48 hours, but no large earthquakes today. The earthquake over in Turkey, from what I understand, it was in a densely populated area, unfortunately, and I saw some buildings that were damaged during the 6.1, and it was a shallow 6.1, only about 5 miles deep, and it was right here in a populated area. That didn't turn out too good. And anytime and this wasn't like a really super big earthquake, but it did affect a community, and we don't like to see that. When there are bigger earthquakes, we just assume they be, somewhere like the 8.8 was, where nobody was really affected by that, right? Those are the kind of 8.8s and large earthquakes that if we're going to have them, and we're going to have them, we don't like to see the ones that affect people and disrupt their lives. We don't want to see that. Okay, guys, anybody else see these rockets? I'm just curious, and let me show you what was sent in to me. Did anyone else notice these? If you did, just leave a comment down below in the comment section. I appreciate it. Just curious, that's all. Here we go. Viewer described them as rockets. They were very specific about that. They said they weren't airplanes, that they were rockets. And I was like, okay, I take your word for it. I didn't see them. These were viewed from, and I'll show you pretty much the exact location on Google Earth. Cody B, I was going to share these with you guys yesterday, but they're still relevant today. He said they both appeared to take off at the same time, and this is on 8/6 of 2025. I believe it was early in the morning. And I did zoom in, and this is obviously the original photo that he shared with me. He circled them, and I zoomed in, and they didn't look like typical airplanes to me. And if you look close at the photo, it did look like a rocket launch, 2 rocket launches. This is where he was at. And he was in Santa Cruz right here. Now I'm going to tilt Google Earth, and we're going to look to the north. Here we go. What would be up there? Okay, let me go to the north. Here we go. Okay, that's looking north. So you're looking at what? Napa, Redding. You're looking towards our friends up in Oregon, all the way up to Seattle, Grants Pass. I've gotten photos from folks in Grants Pass and Crescent City, Fortuna, Eureka, Chico. I've gotten photos from Yakima, Sacramento, Polenta, our friend over in Sacramento. Did anybody else see those? Were those rockets, or does anybody even know? I'm not sure either. I couldn't answer the question, and I'm usually up to speed. Hey, thank you, Gemini, for the super chat. Really appreciate that. That's very kind. Let me give you a like right there. Thank you. Yeah, did anybody else see that? Northern California. Today's what? 11. Watch. Check this out, guys. It's Monday, right? Watch how fast Friday gets here. It's unbelievable. But yeah, if anybody else saw those, I'm just looking over here at my chat, guys. That's all. I keep the chat over here on a separate monitor. It just works out easier. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be able to see it because I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have about 19 windows open up here at the same time. It's nuts. I've gotten photos out of Eugene. I've gotten photos out of Medford. Where else have we gotten photos out of? Yuba City. A lot of these places over here, you guys are alert. Mount Shasta. In fact, I used to have a gentleman that would send UV readings from Redding, California. That was a while ago, though. That was about 5 years ago. But anyway, this is the direction he was looking. I'm not aware of any locations up here that launch rockets. But he was very emphatic that this was a rocket launch. 2 rocket launches, Gemini. Thank you for the super chat. If you guys have any questions, send them through a super. It colors up the chat and I see it easier. Sometimes I miss them, and I apologize for that. Yeah, these look like rockets. Mysterious rocket launches spotted from Northern California. Good catch. And those were sent in by our friend Cody B. This occurred on the morning of 8/6. Here's a little slightly modified view. I didn't really do too much to them, obviously. That was the original. This one here I don't think had circles on it. Yeah, that one didn't have circles, but it was a little farther back. You really couldn't see the, there you go. The rocket's too close. I don't think those were airplanes, Susan Donahue. Thank you, Susan Donahue, for the super chat. See, I saw that color come in over there. I apologize, guys. That moves pretty quick. Let me give you a like there, Susan. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, pretty wild. Good catch by Cody B. Usually, rocket launches over here are from Vandenberg, right? Not up in the northern part, looking up north. Yeah, this was new to me too. So not anything nefarious, just curious, you know, what was going on that day? Something, unless it was just some sort of, you know, maybe an experiment. I will admit, where we're at over here in the Phoenix area, every once in a while, but not very often, I will see strange activity off to the east, and it originates from down here in White Sands, New Mexico. And I believe there's an experimental location right in here. And every once in a while, you can see wildfires out here in our area. Every once in a while, looking to the east, I'll see strange activity in the sky, like some squiggly lines in the sky or circles that are just rogue and random, really don't make any sense, you know. And I believe they're coming from some sort of an experimental facility over here in New Mexico. I believe it's White Sands, not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure on this hurricane, guys, that's supposedly going to form here in the next few days. It's already got a name, and I don't even think it's organized yet. This one, if and when it does organize, this is the one that we've been talking about. At times, the models are showing this making landfall in South or North Carolina. I don't think that's going to happen, if it even forms. But you're looking at potential storm Aaron. So this would be E. Right now, this is what the models are showing. They're all in alignment. At one time, again, they were showing Myrtle Beach. Now that's since changed, and it looks like it's going to remain a fish storm. Here's another view. Could be a Category 3, potentially a Category 4. If it gets to 946, that would be the central low pressure. That's kind of in the 4 range, but honestly, we'll just have to wait and see. But I don't think it's going to be a land issue for anybody. Let's hope not. We don't like to see hurricanes, you know, make landfall. But it's just part of how the Earth is wired, guys. It could happen. We'll keep a close eye on it. If it does, you'll be the first to know. You'll be the first to know. I'll send out updates through the community tab. And of course, a video. So if you guys aren't subscribed, by all means, subscribe if you want hurricane updates and live stream updates and earthquake updates, flash up. Speaking of flash, wildfires too. Yeah, the wildfires out here are wild, to say the least. The wildfire at the Grand Canyon is still burning. We've got wildfires up in Utah that are still burning. Colorado, there's wildfires all over the place out here in the western United States. California as well. We've been watching the situation over here in Southern California near Los Angeles as they are once again surrounded by wildfires that they just can't seem to catch a break. Every summer there's big wildfires over here, and this year is no different. This is the Gifford fire, I believe. Then there's one down here north of Thousand Oaks and Simi Valley. Then there's been some smaller ones around the Los Angeles area. Here's looking at the smoke from the Grand Canyon wildfire along the northern rim up there. This morning when I had this on, I just got to keep it on and refresh it every once in a while. The smoke was very prominent. It's been moving to the east. One day it was moving to the south. And I mean, our air quality went from an average of 45 to 40 to 500. I mean, off the charts. So I can't imagine what's going on up here in Canada. The red and purple circles represent wildfires that are out of control. Out of control. The wildfire smoke is traveling thousands of miles. Coming over here to zoom Earth, this is a close to real-time view as you're going to get from a satellite. The GOES is fairly real time too, but this is pretty good, and you can get a decent look. I think they get their information from GOES more than likely. But the wildfire smoke up here in Canada, as we mentioned the other day, is traveling all the way over to Finland. Thousands of miles. So they've been dealing with thick wildfire smoke, and every once in a while, it will make its way down into the United States, as you can see, like right now in Minnesota, especially northern Minnesota, out over, I think that's what, Lake Superior, up there along the northern, yeah, Lake Superior. You can see wildfire smoke, Thunder Bay, that's up in Canada, and then Wisconsin. Yeah, wildfire smoke galore. There's no shortage of it. And the only good thing about the wildfire smoke, it minimizes the UV a little bit. It acts as a barrier between the UV rays and all of us down here at ground level. And here's the storm, Erin, potentially becoming a Category 3. That would be the first major storm in the Atlantic Basin this year, because things have been kind of discombobulated out there. This storm has managed to find a little niche, a place where it could actually thrive. I don't know how much it's going to thrive, though. I really don't. And there's a situation out here in the northern Gulf that, again, it's sputtering. That's why I haven't even mentioned it. It's a disturbance. It could bring some rain to the Florida Panhandle, maybe Mobile, Alabama, Tallahassee, maybe over into Louisiana. But again, it's not going to be an organized storm, and that's mainly what I'm focusing on. I'm actually kind of surprised that this little guy out here has already got a name, because it is in a what I would consider, at least with regard to hurricanes, a hostile environment. I don't know how this thing is actually forming. It's a freak of nature. Here comes another spam call. Y'all getting the spam calls too? Look at that. Every day. That's the second one in an hour. Second one in an hour. It is absolutely mind-boggling. I've never seen anything like it. And I'm like you guys over here in the chat. I've had a cell phone for most of my adult life since they came out. I can't ever remember getting this many spam calls daily. It is off the charts. I've never seen anything like it. If you guys are getting spam calls, leave a comment down below in the comment section. It is unbelievable. But here's the storm that carved a little path out. I don't know if it carved a path, if there was a break in the sand plume, maybe a little bit of both. I don't know. I saw Hurricane Florence do this back in like 2018, 2017, but it was in the front of the sand plume. There it is. You know, it is what it is. I guess that's Erin. We're looking at Erin. Right there. You see where it formed off the west coast of Africa? Right over here. Look over here to the far right, and you can see there was indeed an opening right there. And there it is. So yeah, it's got a center of rotation. It's not real strong by any means right now. It's just getting organized. But it's in an opening right there. That tropical wave kind of cleared the way. It cleared the sand out, because in the sand plume, that's what this red and yellow is. This is the sand plume that travels, again, thousands of miles like the wildfire smoke, and it always minimizes hurricane activity, always. Hurricanes don't like that dry air. They like moist, warm air. Or cooler air, actually. They reach up into the lower altitudes, into the cooler air. They don't like wind shear, and that's very representative. That is wind shear by very definition. That's what's carrying the sand particles. So to see one form in there is a bit odd. I got to be honest. It's kind of strange, but it is what it is. Will it last very long? We'll see. I'll keep you guys updated every step of the way. You know what's funny? It's not funny. It's just the location. This is the main development region down here, and it's still called the main development region. But with the perpetual sand that flows across here, it's sand particles, not sand granules. But nevertheless, it's still just totally reduces the air quality out through there, and it also reduces the formation of hurricanes. So I don't know if this would still be considered the main development region, because we don't see a lot of development out there anymore. There's just way too much sand and wind shear, and the air is way too dry. Dry air can move into the equation. You can have a Category 5 hurricane, and if that type of dry air moved into its vicinity where it was, able to become a Cat 5, it would minimize it to a category 1 quite easily. And then within another 24 hours, it would be nothing but a tropical storm if that type of dry air moved into the equation. So to see that, that's where Hurricane Irma started back in 2017. That same exact area. Irma traveled the whole distance, over 4,000 miles, but it didn't have any type of wind shear in the way or dry air. Conditions were absolutely ideal for hurricanes out here in the Atlantic, at least, and that was in, I believe, August, September. There was Hurricane Irma, Hurricane Maria. Jose was out there. It was just a very, very busy year for hurricanes. Unbelievable. So we're keeping an eye on Aaron. We'll see what it does, guys. Again, go out early in the morning if you're early risers like me, and you'll see Jupiter and Venus part of one of the 2 planetary alignments that we're currently dealing with. Quick flash update, guys. I'm still getting these. I'm up over 2,200 examples. This was sent in by Danny Edwards and Arnold out of Imperial, Missouri. All of these are from within the last 4 to 5 days. I've got one out of Texas that's about a week old, but they came up on this parking lot, and multiple lights throughout this huge parking lot were all flashing for unknown reasons. They have no idea what was going on. And I think one over there on a building too. Multiple lights. And coming up, there's one that has narration right here. This was sent in by Curtis. He's asked me a couple of times. He goes, I've been watching for my video. Did you share it? And I'm like, I'll share it today. Here we go. This video sent in by Curtis out of Texas. And this was his first time seeing, Curtis, this was his first time seeing the flashing lights. And he got a video and he was like, wow. He goes, he didn't think he would ever see these bizarre lights. And he sure enough did. He was alert, had his camera ready. And here's the narration by Curtis out of Dalhart.
Hey, Mr. MBB, this is Curtis Zambrano in Dalhart, Texas.
Zambrano out of Dalhart, Texas.
Just thought I'd send you a video of this light doing the blinking thing here. First time.
First time he had seen that phenomena, and it's been seen all over Texas. I have an extreme example out of San Antonio, where what looked like a 10-acre parking lot, probably 40 or 50 lights all flashing at the same time. This video here was sent in by Frogs out of Skokie, Illinois. This, and I know when this phenomenon first started, people were implying that, oh, it's just LED lights and they're malfunctioning. Well, this isn't an LED light. This is an old school fluorescent bulb. And the gentleman said that this thing never flickers like that. And in fact, he's got a video right here that he shared with me. After it quit flashing rogue and randomly, it went back to normal. And he was totally perplexed. He said he's had those bulbs in his garage for 15 years, not that one specifically, but bulbs like that in that location for 15 years, and they've never done that until now. Mimi out of Tampa, Florida. This is from just a couple of days ago. Light in it's either a hallway or a laundry room, flashing for unknown reasons. Here's another example out of Binghamton, New York. Andre Kirkland. Guys, these can show up anywhere at any time. I saw them here at our place. We've got a solar light, a couple of them out front. One of the solar lights was flickering real fast very early one morning. I just happened to catch it. Here's an example of flashing lights, August 8th. I mean, this is still occurring. This is just 72 hours ago. Roxanne, she didn't put the location, but you can tell she's sitting in the front of a bus at an intersection. And she had the presence of mind to get her phone out and start recording at this stoplight. Look at how those lights are behaving there. She too had never seen that happen. And she drives a bus. There's a bus in front of her. In fact, she's at a bus stop. Lights over there across the intersection were flashing to the front of her and to the right of her. Hazelhurst, Mississippi. Marie came upon a gas station. I don't know how many of these we've seen. Multiple canopies at multiple convenience stores and gas stations. Multiple lights underneath these canopies and on both of these canopies. Flickering and flashing, rogue and random for unknown reasons. And people run across this, and especially for the first time like Curtis, he didn't think he'd ever see it until he saw it. This one here I'm sharing with you guys, it's just one, but it's out of Mexico. And this is the third example I've gotten out of Mexico. Charlie Hamlin sent this in just a couple of days ago. Obviously, I have it in fast forward. He was playing basketball. He had his camera set up on the basketball court, and the light right behind him that was overlooking the basketball court was flashing the entire time. And that video's out of Mexico, and that's number 3 that I've received. No, maybe 3 or 4 out of Mexico. I put this video in fast forward because it was over 3 minutes long. Damon Mars saw this with his own eyes. This truck was down here with the headlights flashing. These aren't the hazard lights. These are headlights flashing on the truck that was just kind of temporarily backed in there. You're going to assume, wait a minute, those are the hazard lights. Well, this truck right here is parked along the side of the road, and there's nobody in it, and they don't have their hazard lights on. They have cones out here by the side of the road. That truck has somebody in it, and the headlight, or at least the one that we can see, was flashing, and that's not necessarily uncommon. We've seen several vehicles with the headlights and taillights flashing and flickering for unknown reasons. Just super bizarre. I think it's a side effect of dirty electricity. I really and truly do. I think there's some sort of an EMP that's swarming the earth, a rogue and random EMP, small one, not necessarily a large scale one, but it can be picked up anywhere on any type of current carrier, whether it be a headlight, a street light, inside your home. I mean, it's really, really weird. Speaking of weird, look at this photo here. This looks like a classic lenticular cloud, right? In fact, that's what I thought it was. I just knew this was from like California, somewhere where there's mountains. Colorado. No, this is from Superior, Wisconsin. What? Look at that thing. That doesn't even look real. Tammy and Mike out of Superior, Washington, or Superior, Wisconsin. Here's another photo from the same location. That's real, guys. That's not a fake. I know it looks fake. It's not. Look at that thing. And there's no mountains over there. A lot of times the updrafts will cause the wind to sculpt some pretty clever things up in the sky. I get it. I've seen it happen. There's no mountains over there. So where did that baby come from? Are you serious right now? Here's another view. I think this is, yeah, that's the one I put on the homepage of the website, and that was the secondary view. Check the sun out, sent in by Sandy and Tony out of Muskoka, Ontario. What happened to the sun? They are up there dealing with so much wildfire smoke, it caused part of the sun to disappear in their photo. That's what the sun looked like in the sky on 8/7 of 2025. 4 days ago, as the sun was starting to set. It wasn't obviously down close to the horizon yet, but getting there. That wildfire smoke is no joke. I mean, it does act as a solar filter, but to totally distort the sun like that, and they sent me several photos of the sun just totally distorted in their photos. Look at that one. The sun's 50% gone in the photo. So weird. And here's a view of the sun behind some thinner wildfire smoke, not necessarily thick. A lot going on. We've got wildfires consuming tens of thousands of acres. The wildfire up in the Grand Canyon area has consumed 135,000 acres. Unbelievable. Speaking of unbelievable, we'll come back to that here in just a second. I don't know if I shared this with you guys or not, but I wanted to share it today for those of you that haven't seen this. This was sent in by Christopher Van Houten out of the Texas Panhandle. Look at the size of that hail. We just saw decent size hail. I mean, tennis ball size hail is no joke. We just saw tennis ball size hail in Nebraska. Can you imagine something like that falling from the sky? You wouldn't want to be anywhere near the tennis ball size hail that we just saw. This here is in a whole nother galaxy. Look at that thing. It's the size of the baseball cap. Wow. That is unreal. And falling from the sky, I've read that hail that gets that big, not only is it heavy and obviously it's hard, it's traveling so fast, it's traveling in the 150 mile an hour range. So you wouldn't want to be anywhere near that. Back to this drawing here. This was sent in by Junebug. Junebug might be in the chat. Junebug, if you're there, hello. Hope you're having a good day. Hope everybody's having a great day. Junebug sent this in. She said she saw this next to the sun. This was a while back, but it left such an impression on her, she sat down and drew a picture. And I've done the same thing. Back in 2017, I was outside, just sitting on the patio drinking coffee. It was like 5:15 in the morning. And I had my phone, but obviously I wasn't prepared to use it. I wasn't I was still half asleep, to be honest with you. And I saw this black boomerang fly over my head from southeast to west-northwest. And I looked up and saw it, had no chance to get my phone. But I went inside like Junebug did here, and I drew a picture of my experience. And you want to do it while it's still fresh in your mind, you know. Apparently, according to June, she saw this next to the sun. This didn't appear in a photo. She said she saw that configuration in the sky. She said it reminded her of a pyramid shape in the sky that came to a point and it had ripples going down the side and was on top of a square. And there it is. That's what she drew on the piece of paper. She says she saw that in the sky, and she may not have been prepared like myself. That morning I saw that thing fly over. I didn't even have a chance. It looked like this right here, to be honest with you. This was sent in by Michael C. Not sure of the location. This was on his weather app. Look at that. There you go. That's what I saw. I saw a version of that. And it was probably about that big. Maybe, I don't know, that looks several miles big. What I saw wasn't quite that big, but it was exactly that shape. Exactly. It looked like that flying through the sky. And it had portals. It had a portal up near the front and then two down each side. And they were very, very super light orange. I don't think they were lights. I think they were windows on the craft. And the light that you were seeing was light originating from the inside of the craft itself. They didn't look like lights. They were very, very dim orange. Yeah, looked just like that. Absolutely. But again, I did not have time to get my handy dandy camera ready. Or it was my smartphone. And that's the nice thing about, in today's world, everybody's carrying around a high definition recording device, you know? So that's why people say, oh, UFO reports are way up, you know, in 2024 and 2025. Well, it is for a couple of reasons, you know. One being, you know, everybody's got a high definition recording device. And number two, people aren't afraid to talk about it anymore. 10 years ago, people would be like, yeah, you know, it was a weather balloon. Still on that weather balloon thing, you know. Not anymore. It is what it is. You know, people are, you know, more open to it because more people are talking about it. And yes, there's things that go on in the sky every day. If you just pay attention, it's there. Look at this wild sky. I forget, Kathleen, Mary Ellen out of Reno. Look at that. That was the moon from a few nights ago before it became the full moon and joined the party on the big stage. Yeah, the big stage. And the stage is indeed set. Here's a cool photo sent in by Vincent. Second photo and video out of Binghamton, New York. 2 in this video. And I rarely get photos and videos from Binghamton, and I got 2 today. Couldn't help but notice the saucer-like shape in the sky above Binghamton. Doesn't look like the rest of the clouds. It looked out of place. That's what compelled him to use his smartphone, high-definition recording device to take that photo, shared it with me, and I simply shared it with you guys. Cool photos. I get these all the time, and I thought, you know what? Today I'm going to do something different. I'm going to share these in a folder, bulk style, so that way I can kind of get through some of these instead of one at a time over here on the homepage of the website. I'll feature a photo over here for 24 hours. That's what I do. And then tomorrow there'll be a different one up here. If it's exceptional, I'll leave it up for a couple of days, but I feature one a day. And then, you know, sometimes I'll get a whole bunch at one time, and I like to share them with you guys. So I figured the best way to do it today, put them in a folder, and away we go. Let's do it. So that's photos. I'll do the Atlas update here in just a minute. Mia from Mia in Maryland. Hey, Mia, what's going on in Maryland today? I know there's been a lot of activity out east. I've seen New York in the news. I've seen Pennsylvania in the news, even though I don't watch the news. You can't avoid it. You get alerts on your phone from somewhere talking about things happening around the world. What's up, 12-pack? Polenta, hey, Polenta, good to see you in the chat room. Polenta's a Star family member. Star family member in the house. 369 is the orbit of the planets. Jeremiah 1111. What's going on with you, man? Yeah, the planets are in a unique alignment right now, guys. And I've seen this over the years when there's just one alignment. It can kind of stir things up on the Earth a little bit, especially when that full moon's in the equation. And we saw what happened when the full moon was in the equation. Severe storms across the north central plains of the United States. There was epic flooding, massive hail. Unbelievable. And what we saw was just one home of probably many that saw significant damage to their home, you know. That is just wild. Absolutely wild. And to have hail strip the siding off of a house, you definitely wouldn't want to be out in that. Alexis Ominous, Star family member in the house. What's up, Beans and Frank? Polenta, Mia, what's going on, guys? Hello, Rick. There's my moderator on the job. Got the best moderator on YouTube. Can always count on my moderator. These planet alignments these last few years have been epic. 12-pack, they have. They have. And you know, with the conception of the apps and the star maps and the star apps that we have, I started studying, and I went back as far as we could go, or at least as far as I could go, went back 150 years of earthquake activity. I could go back even farther on the star map with regard to the planetary positions. Yeah, you can go back hundreds of years on some of these apps, but earthquake data, I could only go back 150 years, but I connected, I went and found alignments for the last 150 years. And yes, there was a connection. Was it perfect science? No, but it was way more than a coincidence. I'll say that. It was way more than a coincidence. There were big earthquakes. There were big events. There were volcanic eruptions during some, but not all of the planetary alignments, the unique planetary alignments, like we're in right now. We are definitely in two. Those of you that haven't seen, here they are. The stage is set. The cast members, the main character is always the sun. Okay, and if you go out early in the morning, you'll see Jupiter and Venus right in alignment, right where they're supposed to be. You're on the Earth, Venus, and then Jupiter. Jupiter, the gas giant. Right there they are. They're in the early morning sky. That's a great video there out of Inglewood, Colorado, I believe. Gerald, 4:14 a.m. Yes, sir, Inglewood, Colorado. Then a photo out of Berlin, New Hampshire by Sienna M. early this morning around 4 a.m. And you can see him too. But here they are, the big stage. Earth, Venus, Jupiter. You just saw it. It was in the sky. I'm gonna go out there in the morning and I'll get a video as long as it's not cloudy. And then we've got the second alignment is, oh, I just left it there. Let's get the big stage. Here we go. The big stage. And the second one, Mars, Earth, Saturn, Uranus. You can't see Uranus, obviously. You can see Saturn on a nice, clear, that would be night. Uranus, you're not going to be able to see. But it's out there, and it's factored in the equation. Yes, indeed. What's up, Gunner Patry, Pinky McKinney? Good afternoon, good evening, good morning if you're in, well, it's not even morning, I don't think, anymore over in Australia. Maybe it is. No, it's about midday. They're already in tomorrow. Did we ever figure out, I didn't look because the comments were moving so fast. Did anybody see those rockets that gentleman said he saw in Northern California? Just curious. Maybe it was just some sort of an experiment. I don't know. Did anybody else see those? Mia in Maryland. Alpha and Omega. What's up, Keir Stark? Yeah, I don't think anybody saw this. You'd be an Audrey there, aren't you? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. The world stage, the big stage, guys. The big stage is what's going on above you in the cosmos. Yeah, we have a lot going on the Earth, and yeah, I just kind of stay neutral on that. You know, just stay neutral. We didn't see it there. Thank you. What's the sun doing today? Trouble 1972. Let's take a look, Ski. You want to take a look? Let's look. It's pretty quiet, to be honest with you. But you can see an upward trend in overall solar activity. In fact, tomorrow over here at the homepage of the website, I'll probably have to adjust the solar flux. Right now it's at 153, probably climbing. As you can see, the overall frequency of the sun is trending in an upward motion. It's a slow process. Sometimes it can be a very fast trend up if the Earth is staring at giant sunspots. We are looking at a huge coronal hole. Where is it? Right there. It was bigger just a couple of days ago. I mean, it was absolutely massive. But there's what's left of it, and that's still well over 100,000 miles long. But overall, the last 72 hours, we have seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 M-class solar flares in the last 72 hours. 7 M-class solar flares. So solar activity is definitely on the rise. That's going to equate to more earthquake activity increasing around the world. Holy cow, look at all the ones out west here. As we're doing this live, are you serious? Northern Nevada? Whoa, what's up here? This just happened. I didn't even get an alert on my phone. I get every other kind of alert. Maybe it wasn't big enough. Let's look and see. 3.0, 62 kilometers northeast of Valmy, Nevada. 9.2 kilometers deep. That'd be around 5 miles deep. Is that near a fault zone? No, not really. Okay, there you go. Another out-of-bounds earthquake. Look at that. That just happened while we're doing the live stream. I noticed the red circles on there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4, albeit small, but nevertheless, that's 4 earthquakes that just occurred within probably a few minutes of each other. But the western United States is no stranger to earthquakes, as you can see. But I do remember a day not too long ago when there were no earthquakes up in the Seattle area. Not any. In fact, I remember the first time I saw one back in like 2009, 2010. I was shocked. I'm like, an earthquake near Seattle? It was I was I was like, whoa, what's going on? And it was a small one, maybe a 3.2. Now it's all the time, every day. So the frequency is changing. You know what I mean? Yellowstone, I think all these volcanoes out here in the Cascadias, the mountRainiers. In fact, mountRainier, this is a 30-day total. I know the number got up to 1,300. Now the number is at, it's dropped by a factor of 50% because it's a 30-day total. Now it's showing 645. So apparently 30 days ago on this day, there weren't hardly any. So the earthquake frequency at the top of mountRainier is slowing down, which is a good thing. So we'll see what happens. But sometimes when this type of activity occurs, we've seen it out on Mount Kilauea. Seen it for years, in fact, out there on Kilauea. It peaks and valleys. Sometimes it'll show a lot of earthquake activity, and Kilauea is a prime example of that. And then sometimes it'll just take off and start erupting. And then the earthquake activity will slow down, and then the pressure will mount again, and then it'll erupt again. And it's just been an ongoing thing for years out there. In fact, since 2018. But I think there was an eruption of some sort, a smaller eruption, just within the last 48 or 72 hours. I saw a video clip from the summit of Mount Kilauea. So it's been active for many, many years. Volcano, east-west poles. Yeah, I saw that. See me, the plant out in Pittsburgh. What in the world happened out there? Does anybody know? What happened it was in Pittsburgh, huh? The Pittsburgh Steelers. I get it. That's why they're called the Steelers. Just kidding. I was a Steelers fan when I was a little bitty kid. Yeah, a little bitty kid. All right, Mia. Thank you. Thanks for stopping by. You know what? We're gonna wrap it up here too because I've got through everything on my card. So another day. Another update. Tomorrow we'll talk about new things that are happening around the world. Oh, I did want to give you guys, for those of you that haven't seen it, I know most of you probably have. If you haven't seen the latest update on the interstellar traveler moving through the inner solar system, this would be Atlas. This is an object that's in the solar system right now, C2025 N1. This is the closest view that I've seen of this object. that doesn't appear to be a comet, at least in this footage. It very well could be, I'm just saying, based off of what I'm analyzing here, I don't see a comet. I'm just keeping it real. I don't see a comet. This is supposedly from another star system. That would mean that this has an entirely different molecular structure than anything here in our solar system. This has marched to the beat of a different drummer. That means its parent star is obviously much different than ours, because there's no two stars out there that are exactly the same. So this thing traveled a long way. They said the flight path that this thing is taking, the odds of this doing it naturally are 0.005%. It's almost flying horizontally. It's coming in on the ecliptic plane, and it's going to go by, or at least close to, Jupiter, Venus, and Mars. Coincidentally, they're in the planetary alignment. You can't make this stuff up. So this is just one of the cast of characters that are on the big stage during this unique time. We're in a very unique moment in time, guys. Here's a closer view of this mysterious object that's currently in the inner solar system, and it's getting closer and closer to the sun. So the closer it gets to the sun, the more this thing should be outgassing, like this right here. This is what a comet looks like when it comes in the vicinity of our sun. The sun lets it know it knows it's here. Notice the CMEs, right? There's the first one when it got halfway close. It always gives these things a welcoming party, right? There's the first one. Watch. You'll see three or four. There's two. There's three. As it gets up above, there it goes. Gave him three. And then, of course, there's the tail. It's what you call going sublime. So that's what a comet does. And I understand that this one isn't that close to the sun, but it's close enough. I mean, wow, it's out there in between Jupiter and Mars, so it's feeling the solar wind. Absolutely it is. So we should be able to see something, that's all. But for whatever reasons, we can't. There it is in an inverted format. I don't know. I'll leave it up to you guys because that's what we're looking at. It's millions of miles away, so none of us are there. We can, look at it and theorize, but at the end of the day, you don't see a tail and you don't see anything coming off of the front. And really, at this point in time, you should be able to see something. All right, guys. Well, listen, thanks for hanging out with me today. It's always a pleasure. Thanks for spending part of your day with me. We'll do it again tomorrow. I've got some really cool things I'm working on. We're going to talk more about the hurricanes forming out here in the far western Atlantic. We'll see how well it holds together. If it gets too wrapped up in that dry air and that Sahara dust, I don't think it's going to last very long. But it may have a clear path. We'll have to see. That's a rare breed out there. You don't normally see hurricanes out there in the far western Atlantic like that, especially in the middle of a massive dust storm. But it found a little bitty opening to form, and we're in peak hurricane season, so these storms are going to get stronger and stronger. So this one here muscled its way in there, or an opening opened up, and it found a way to reach up and start to get organized. So it'll be interesting to see how this thing turns out. Some models, once again, were showing a landfall. This was like 5 days ago. Now the models are showing a fish storm, which means it stays out in the Atlantic. But I've seen them also change and go back the other direction. So this is still a long-range forecast. It can and will change. All right, guys, that's all I got for today. Thanks for watching. Have a super day and be safe out there.